Can, can you give us a history of Rihanna as far as her introduction into the music industry? We watch Tyler now being introduced from South Africa coming into the, a worldwide stage. What was Rihanna's introduction to the music industry? At what point did you get a hold of her to get her to Jay-Z's ears?
So I like she was already on Jay-Z's ear when I came through. Right. I came through this I hate to even say his name because he's a cocksucker, but he's the other producer. His name is Vada Nobles. And Vada Nobles was from New Jersey. And if you look up Vada Nobles, he's a co-producer on Pondy Replay. He was the one who sued Lauryn Hill for the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And it was his production team, Newark, who sued her, which kind of led to, her shutting down. If you remember back in the music industry, like she was so busy doing the Fugees, and then she dropped Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which is a timeless classic. And then everybody was like, oh, she's a head case. She started missing shows. Well, she was depressed because, Vada Nobles and his guys sued her for the miseducation of Lauryn Hill and saying they were the producers of it, not her. So when I met Vada Nobles, I was introduced to him through Kevin Skinner, who was working for John Huston Entertainment, Whitney Houston's father's company. When he introduced me to Vada Nobles was like going through it, because everybody loved Lauryn Hill. So then he's the one who introduced me to Rihanna. He's the one who hired me to work Pondy Replay, write her first press release, and get it going and get some action, for the song. So that's how I got involved with that. And usually, like I said, I hate saying his name because, like I said, he's like he's a real cocksucker. Like, not only has he let me fall on the sword on like a lot of the shit is because, like I said, what he did to Lauryn Hill for miseducation of Lauryn Hill, the way he treated her by taking production credit, when that was all Lauryn Hill's album. She'd been working on that, since she was younger. That was her debut album. And this guy was trying to take credit for it. So that's how I met Rihanna.
Okay. Vada Nobles. Sheesh. Okay. All right, let me ask you, at what age was Rihanna coming into like Ponda Replay and of course
she was 16 when I first heard about her.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because we look at stars like Aaliyah, and Aaliyah has ties to Jay-Z in regards to her, coming of age story, and of course, the Rockefeller Nation. Rihanna, for you yourself, Jonathan, let me ask you, what was your goal for the Ponda Replay, pushing that record, getting Jay-Z to give a quote? What was the goal at the time of you pushing that?
Well, because I heard the song, right? Like, and I knew, like when you're in the industry, like this is something, this song has it. And you could just feel like that, was a hit record. Something about it, was special. And she was really shy and she was really, awkward, but she had this huge song, and that's what a lot of people liked about her, is because she wasn't that person who was like, like real in your face, like singing for you. She was the person who would, be sitting in a corner, quiet, off in her own head, thinking about stuff. She real soft spoken, real shy, real, but brilliant, like total brilliant, like, look what she's done now. She's a billionaire.
Is it common for someone like Jay-Z or someone to deal with her at 16 years old? Like, isn't that a little weird?
For sure, it's weird, without question. But from what I heard, he was doing that same stuff with, Foxy Brown. Like I said, I was deep, involved, with some of his business stuff and the stuff that I heard. Obviously, I wasn't there to witness it, but here's a guy that that is right currently, right? He's currently, has 2 albums out with R. Kelly. He currently has all this work with Diddy. And before the pandemic, he was signed to Harvey Weinstein. So, like, when you think about Jay-Z, signed business partners with Harvey Weinstein, business partners with Diddy, business partners with R. Kelly, that's some fucked up shit, man. That just has to make you like think is like, how could this one man be business partners with these 3 men? Two who are in federal prison, and one who's going to be indicted at any moment. That's weird.
At the time of Ponder River, what age was Jay-Z?
I don't know. I think he would have been 12 years older than her. I could be wrong. We'd have to look.
All right, let's get to the, and I want to go. We're going to go through more of your history, but
right.
We're on this topic. I got to get your take because again, when I ask you about the music business, and you give the words you give, we look at the head honchos, and Puff Daddy, Diddy, P Diddy, of course, is going through his turmoil right now. And these are all like doors that he wanted to shut years ago. This is a lot of stuff happened some decades ago, years ago. And how much of this do you feel fall under the other heads, whether it's Jay-Z, the Dr. Dre's, the just the other guys who are the heads of the music business? Again, we're talking to you and you've been hands-on in this business, not only on the hip hop side, but the other sides as well, as far as the hip hop section of this. How heavy do you feel like some of these doors have been closed, and how quickly can they open if the right buttons are pushed?
Right. Like super fast, like especially, back in the day. And it's like, you mentioned Diddy's turmoil. Think about the turmoil that he's caused to so many women and people in general, the turmoil that he's caused to people, right?
Right.
Like it's like alarming, and like I knew back, we used to go to Daddy's house because, we worked with these producers named, Sean C and LV, and they produced most of Jay-Z's American Gangster. Like Sean Puffy Combs, he was an executive producer on American Gangster. And a lot of the producers were these guys, Sean C and LV. And so I used to work with them and Fat Man Scoop and this DJ named Rock Rada. They all worked together. So, when Diddy was doing American Gangster, he recorded that at Daddy's house, right? So we saw, we were around Daddy's house, and we saw what kind of person Puff Daddy was, right? And it continued on, like just like recently, like up until the pandemic, like I was working with the Notorious B.I.G. estate, and I'm gonna send you the contract, that I did with them, right? So with the Notorious Big Estate, we were doing a song, we were doing a project for Biggie, and the Notorious Big Estate is Valletta Wallace, Faith Evans, CJ and his sister. Those are the people. So I was working, with them, right? And I experienced once again some fucked up shit. And that's in 2020. Like right after we went viral with the project that we were doing with Biggie, it seems like Puffy got involved. And because, that was his flagship artist was Biggie. Puffy got involved because of publishing and rights. And it just the whole project went sideways, and it took on a whole like other dimension. So like during the pandemic, he would it was wild, like we would be on FaceTime kind of like what we're doing now, because everything was shut down, and he was telling us about how we should make the house music, because it was a house music project that we did that Notorious Big Estate partnered up with us, right? And then
Right.
he was telling us like how we should do it. And he was like, you need to do ketamine, man, because ketamine is what everybody's doing for dance music. So we were on FaceTime and
Sure.
this guy's sniffing, right? Like, and I was like, are you serious right now? I was like, wow. Like, you know, and he said it was ketamine. It could have been cocaine. It could have been sugar. It could have been, I have no idea what it is. Right. I wasn't there, but he was like, you know, it's all about the ketamine. Ketamine is house music. Ketamine is this. And he was like, the music that you do with Biggie, it's gotta be attracted to ketamine. You guys should do ketamine so you can experience ketamine. So it's authentic. Da, 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 da. He was giving like this fucking weird, like, you know, pep talk, you know, to do ketamine. The whole time I'm like, wow, this is Puffy, just like not even, you know, just loose, you know, just
Right.
like above, you know, like above the law. Like, are you kidding me? Like who does this? You know, my girlfriend, who my partner, you know, was on there. Other people were on there. And it was just like, is this serious? You know, because he just has no, you know, he gives no fucks. You know, he's like, you know, above the law, I do whatever. So, anyways, I know I totally didn't answer your question, and I went off
No, that was actually perfect as far as going
on a
into
tangent. You know,
the Puffy situation. But let me just circle back
yeah,
to Rihanna and Jay-Z. Now, of course, there was a documentary that came out this summer, of course, with Trapper Ross putting that out, and
correct.
it aired on Academics, where, of course, they were going into the death of Jay-Z's mistress, and they brought your name up, and of course, they came back to your article, of course, of you wanting to run. Your goal was to run the rumor that Jay-Z and Rihanna, it was a love triangle between them and Beyonce, and I believe you apologized to Beyonce, correct?
That was in 2015.
Okay.
And I apologize on Inside Edition.